Well, first of all, I want to introduce this lady on my right, and I will say this is not my daughter. This is my wife of 57 years in a couple of weeks. And we have worked together for a very long time in Christian radio.
I met him in a math class in the 9th grade. We started dating in the summer before we were sophomores and dated through high school. And Jim said earlier that we married right out of high school. And we didn't encourage our kids to do that. We wanted them to get their college work before they got married, but we did that. Jim's mother said, "You'll be married all of your life." And she was right. We have been married all of our life.
I had a wife, a dog, and a cat, and a Volkswagen Beetle, and we came to college.
And 2 kids.
And 2 kids, too, by the way. And all that time, I was interested in Christian radio, not really realizing exactly where it was leading or how it was going to get started.
We got a license for WCIE in May of '75.
And we actually started about 3 years earlier than that, doing a little music show in the afternoons on a little AM station. And we did that for 3 years. Then when we started WCIE in
1975.
1975, that was a big year. We didn't cover all of Tampa Bay well at that time, but we covered quite a bit of it and had quite an audience. I felt a call to ministry. I just knew in some way the Lord wanted us to be in ministry. And we fought that back and forth for 4 or 5 years, and then we decided that after sort of working our way through that, it was time for us to go back and sort of do what the Lord wanted us to do. I'll be honest with you, I never gave up the thought of Christian radio, but I had no idea where it was going from there. How do you find the will of God for your life? And my answer was, get up and put your pants on and go to work. And God will open the right doors for you. And I think that's what happened with us and for us. I worked at a local station. I was jumping Jim in the morning. It sort of kept the spark going as far as radio was concerned. We didn't have any idea, did we, as to what was going to happen. We had said, Lord, if you want us to make this move, you gotta sell this house. So we put it on the market, and I never heard this before in my life, but that morning at 11 o'clock, I walked out of the Federal Loan Association with the money in my pocket the very same day, and we had transferred the title and everything. And so we sort of took that as a hint from God that this might be, what He wants us to do. But it was again, we'd been making this decision for 4 years, not knowing exactly, what to do. But when we came to Florida, we were broke, okay? We didn't have any money, but we were the happiest people in the world because we knew that we were doing what the Lord wanted us to do.
I worked part-time, took care of a lot of kids after school to make money. We were never hungry. We might not have had, we had a lot of bologna probably.
She's had a lot of bologna ever since.
But we were happy, and when we were in God's will, we were happy.
So, and the job I got was at a local radio station. And those people were so good to me. So that's the way I got started in radio in the local market. When we were both working at the church, again, and back in the back of my mind and my heart, I always wanted to have a Christian radio station. So I talked the pastor into letting us do that 3-hour show in the afternoon on a little local AM station. It went over so good and got so much response. I said, look, let's apply for a radio station. So everybody thought that was a great idea, and we applied, and we got a 50,000 watt radio station. And then somebody told me, I think that thing can be increased to 100,000 watts. Well, you know me, I just sort of said, well, look, let's get all we can here, you know. So we applied for the 100,000 watts, and we got the 100,000 watts. So we had one station. A few years later, and you help me out with the timing, we said, let's do a missions project. So we were having people from, honest to goodness, guys, we were having people from all over the country coming to us and saying, we want you to build a radio station in our town. I said, hey, you got the money, we can build it. Well, the next one was in Greenville, South Carolina. The next one was the Joy FM in Sarasota. 30 years ago, because we just celebrated our 30th birthday. So that was the third station. But due to some unforeseen circumstances, we had started 3 radio stations, and they were all 3 doing well, but they were just sort of sucked out from under our even being able to be involved. So again, we didn't have a clue as to where we were going or what we were going to do, and we were back down to sort of where we were when we came to Southeastern to go to college. A man by the name of Bill Watkins, who came to me, he was the owner of several companies, and I had gotten to know him. He was a good friend, and he came to me, and of course he just said, I'm really sorry all this stuff has happened. Said, why don't we buy a couple of these radio stations that you've started, and you just take over from where you were and just run and do the radio stations, and then we will continue to expand. Well, man, that got me all excited, you know. So we shook hands, and he wrote me a check for $1.1 million. Actually, he wrote the check to Evangel Christian School, who owned the 2 radio stations, the one in Greenville, South Carolina, and the one in the Joy FM in Florida. I have never gone out, this is honest truth, I've never gone out and tried to expand Radio Training Network. It just seems like the Lord just sort of opens the doors for us to be able to expand. And we've expanded some over the last 30 years, but it just sort of one at a time they came. The 1.1 million was, in my opinion, was a miracle. It really was. And for him to do that just on a handshake, that just don't happen very often. The mission is to reach people for Christ in a professional way, with talented people who have the same call that you do. We just hired somebody last week, and I always go in at the last minute and talk to them a little bit before they come. And my main reason for meeting a new employee is I want to know where your heart is. So if your heart beats the same type of rhythm that mine and Ruth's and everybody else that's here already beats, you'll feel right at home here. And you'll work hard. Our staff really works hard. but they're good. See, I believe if you're going to do something for the Lord, it needs to be good. My goal is to not go over 30 minutes without enough of the gospel being brought forth through the music, through what they say on the air that somebody can't say or won't say. I really need what those guys and girls have. And my whole goal, and Ruth's too, is just to reach people for Christ through the medium of Christian radio. I want it to be the best, but I also want it to come from right here in the heart.
I do remember one story that you didn't share about the lady that on the little country grocery store porch, she stopped and said to you, Jim Campbell, Butch Campbell, I think is what she called you.
Oh, don't go there, honey.
She said, if you don't get out of this little community, you're not going to amount to anything ever. And Jim said, I don't know. I got out of that little community and tried to make something of my life with the Lord's help. If he hadn't left that little community, you know, where would we be?
I just want to do everything I can to get as many people ready through what we do. And if it's through the internet, or if it's through Facebook, terrestrial, whatever it is, I want us to take full advantage of it. And if we don't take full advantage of it, I think we'll be held accountable.
I just wanted to say that through the years, you know, we have grown, and we're grateful for that. But we've never gotten to the place that we think, we can just sit down and do nothing. But this guy, he always has at least 3 or 4 projects going, and if he, before he finishes 1 or 2, he's got another one on the burner that he's ready to work on. And so I think that's one thing. We just don't ever feel like we've done all we can do, that we just keep, you know, looking for new projects and new things to further the ministry.
I think we are in a very unique position now, because for the first time, I think Christian radio, good Christian radio, has found a niche that's blending with the secular field. I'll use an example. The Joy FM in Tampa, son, we got billboards all over that market. Well, who would have ever thought 10 years ago that there'd be billboards all over a market with a Christian non-com radio station? And the reason I use that as an example, because I think that's just another example as to how far we have come. I think we've come a long way. I think the quality is so much better than it was, and I think the future is very bright for Christian radio. I just feel like this was a God thing, and He just allowed us to participate. That's what you feel?
Yes.
That's exactly the way I feel.